It's time for MacBreak Weekly. Andy Ihnatko, Alex, Lindsay are here. So's Veronica, Belmont. We've had a week to digest the announcements at WWDC. We'll give you our thoughts on iOS 5, OS X Lion, iCloud, and more. It's all coming up next with MacBreak Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for MacBreak Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 251, recorded June 14th, 2011. There's an 11-inch hole in my life. MacBreak Weekly is brought to you by GoToMeeting, the easiest, most reliable online meeting service. For your free 30-day trial, visit GoToMeeting.com, promo code MacBreak. And by Gazelle, the easy way to sell or recycle the used gadgets lying around your home or office. Don't just sell it, Gazelle it. For a 5% bonus payment for your used gadgets, go to Gazelle.com, bonus code MacBreak. And by PDF Pen and PDF Pen Pro. Go paperless and easily edit and sign PDFs with the affordable PDF Pen toolkits from Smile Software. For a free demo, go to smilesoftware.com/MacBreak. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, and joining us, the odd couple themselves from Boston area. It's at the Dunce-Cap Studios, Andy Ihnatko and Alex Lindsay.
We've doubled our capacity and quadrupled our throughput.
I think that's awesome. That's just great. So, Alex, you're out there for work?
I was out here. Yeah, we're doing another stream out here in Boston, and I figured I'm in the area, so I thought I'd come and see Andy. And we had lunch, and here we are.
Fantastic. And I'm really pleased to say, also joining us on the panel today, Veronica Belmont from Techzilla.com and Sony and about.me/Veronica to find out all the things she's up to.
Hello, I'm jealous you guys are in Boston. I love Boston.
Isn't Boston great? You're from the East Coast, aren't you?
I am. I'm from Connecticut, and I went to school in Boston.
Connecticut.
I'm a nutmegger.
The nutmeg state. So great to have you all. Now, wait a minute. Now, the Worldwide Developers Conference was Monday. We covered it. We actually covered it live. Alex, thank you for doing that. I couldn't be here that day because I was down in L.A. getting ready for E3. But I understand some stuff happened.
There was some things, some clouds, mostly.
Mostly cloudy?
Scattered clouds. Yeah, it was mostly cloudy.
We do have WWDC the musical, if you'd like to maybe get a quick recap of everything that happened at WWDC. Just listen and watch.
Live coverage of the Worldwide DC. Crowd cheering song over. Steve takes the stage. Standing ovation, and Steve looks good. Someone shouts, Steve sounds exasperated. This is really quiet, not as energetic.
Tell you what's not is that ad that pops up.
About software, 250 new features in Lion. Swipe pitch, swipe pitch, swipe pitch, etc. Swipe music pinch, swipe etc. Targeted facial enhancements. That's a weird thing to spend time on.
Line auto saves basically everything, and this allows for basic versioning. Line auto saves basically everything. Version control lives on your time machine.
Full screen apps, new version of Mail. FaceTime built in, Coco auto layout. Toolbar auto hiding, momentum scoring. Video decode acceleration, airdrop. Mission control, launchpad.
$29.99. Download from the App Store. Works on all computers. Coming out this summer. iOS 5.
Crowd is clapping.
Major release.
Crowd is clapping.
200 new features.
Crowd is clapping.
Walking us through them all.
Notification.
This is great. Who needs to go to the keynote anymore?
Got a new stand.
Just wait for the musical.
Goes. Tweet integration. Crowd goes. better Safari.
Crowd goes, ooh, everybody. You wanted karaoke, Veronica? Here you go. Sing along.
Crowd goes. Radical email. Crowd goes. Don't need a computer. Crowd goes. Game Center's stupid. Crowd goes. Don't need a tech plan. Crowd goes into the cloud. Crowd goes into the cloud. Steve is back on stage. Everybody's going nuts now. All of
Look at all the phones.
Is pushed from the cloud. All your devices are syncing it now. Google and Amazon haven't figured it out. Why don't you follow us into the cloud? I said, into the cloud.
I think this is even better the version that Neil Patrick Harris did for the WWDC.
Say again?
I think the version that Neil Patrick Harris did for at the very end of WWDC, like if you stayed to the very end, that was even better.
It was the kicks.
Well, there you go. The WWDC in 3 minutes and 48 seconds. Only thing I have to say is need some more cowbell.
Thank you, Internet.
More cowbell. So now we've had a week to think, reflect, and cogitate. Let's start with iCloud. Any thoughts about iCloud? We're already starting to see a debate. John Gruber, of course, as always, defending Apple, saying, because Apple, I think we're basically hearing Apple's going to kill the web interface to Mobile Me end of June. Gruber's saying, no, don't worry about it. There'll be a great web interface by the end of June.
I think there's going to be something mobile. They're definitely going to kill Mobile Me with fire. They're going to bury it. They're going to bury its head at a crossroads and pour salt over Mobile Me. So that nothing can ever.
Nothing but cheers from Veronica.
Ever again.
And they're killing iWeb permanently too, right?
Oh, that would be. There's no reason for iWeb.
I'm pretty sure that they are killing iWeb.
Wow. Unless you're one of the many people, I presume, who made websites with iWeb that can only be modified with iWeb. And I warned people from day one, do not use iWeb. This is the front page problem all over again. People use Microsoft front page, and they were stuck with it.
I do hope that they put together an as good solution, because iWeb was always the easiest way to get photos and videos to grandma, grandpa, and aunts and uncles. And that when I'm tallying up all the different responses I've gotten to the keynote from just ordinary civilians, that's a big worry for them, because that's how they don't really want to have a real website. They don't even want to have a Tumblr blog. They just like this idea that they click a button in iPhoto and suddenly they have a URL that they can email to people. So hope they replace it with something.
I have to say, I don't. As far as the rest of the web interface, I just don't know anybody using it.
Right.
I mean, even people who had, like, I have Mobile Me. I've had it since it was the day it was released, but I've never. I mean, every once in a while I go up and check something, but it's very, very rare.
Yeah, it's a good place for me to check out like where I was and what I was doing 4 years ago when I was writing about Mobile Me for my review, because that's all the content that's there right now.
So I never used Mobile Me at all, actually, and I cautioned a lot of people against buying it when they got a new Mac. So I'm not sorry to see it go. I hope they do improve the whole cloud experience. You know, Apple hasn't had a great track record with that in the past, so hopefully they'll add some features that'll be really nice. The iTunes thing, I think, is probably the biggest thing, but I'm not going to use that personally.
The iTunes Match capability, right? Yeah. So Joshua Topolsky, writing in my next, what is it? Thisismynext.com. I never can get that right. Says that he thinks there will be no web interface in Apple's iCloud. There was no web interface in the announcement anyway. But, you know, Gruber, and I think this is merely an act of faith. I don't think he's actually saying I have evidence, but he says, I would wager that sometime between now and June 30th, 2012. Oh, it's 2012. It's not June 30th, 2011. It's 2012. iCloud will offer a web interface just as good, if not better than Mobile Me's. Quite possibly under the hood based on Mobile Me. The only thing that would hold that up is that Apple is not notorious for having a lot of extra developers. And
yeah, it's like they have a fixed quantity, and they do keep shuttling them from project to project. There have been a couple of famous instances in which a project B got delayed because everybody got pulled off of it to be put on project A.
But they have a year.
They have a year. Also, I don't think that they haven't really made the point that iCloud is a destination that anybody is supposed to go to. They're really making the point that it is just an invisible conduit. I mean, I've used this before. We were talking about this morning, that my vision of iCloud is that There's the theist view of God, and then there's the deist version of God. iCloud is the deist version, where he has his influence upon your life, but you can't observe him directly. You only feel the things that he has done. So
what a metaphor.
So exactly. I mean, so whereas Google really does want to be the theist God, where I'm the Lord, your server, you shall client no other servers but I. Here we will hold all of your information. You will use a web interface or a client to access this interface, this data that we've put on our servers. iCloud really is just a conduit for making sure that a file that you want to be available to you anywhere, or a piece of media that wants to be available anywhere, will automatically be deposited everywhere. So that was the difference that kind of tripped me up, because I'm on the Google Music beta, and it is really, really cool to go into my Google Music page and find out that every single piece of media that I've acquired from everywhere, and as long as it's in iTunes, it is available to me everywhere. Whereas when I go into my iPhone now, it's great that the George Harrison tracks that I bought a few days ago are available there, but I can't get like all the stuff I bought during the Tony Awards a couple days ago. So it's definitely two different views of what the cloud should be like.
So basically, It Just Works is the same thing as trust the guy with the beard that you can't see in the sky, right?
The magical.
It just magically works.
We're going to be condescending. Let's be completely condescending.
David Chartier says that about 50% of Apple Store customers who need to get their iPhone swapped have never plugged them into iTunes at all after they
I find this completely believable.
Yeah, I do too.
I know they don't have any specific source for this story, but I thought it was totally believable. I actually know people who have done that myself. One of my best friends, actually, I picked up her iPhone the other day, and she had like 35 apps on her phone that had never been updated. She doesn't even do it from the App Store when she's on Wi-Fi. And so I just realized, like, she has like the oldest possible version of iOS 4 running on her phone right now, and she doesn't upgrade her apps ever. And it made me wonder, actually, how many people go through life doing that. I think it's going to change a lot, once you're able to get the wireless syncing done on your iPhone. I think that's going to improve the experience for a lot of people out there. But it's not shocking to me that people never sync it with their computer.
So you have really two things happening. One, Mobile Me, obviously, from that Forbes article, Steve Jobs hated it, thought it was a flop. Everybody else agreed. And so they had to re-architect that. And then you had the issue of, in a post-PC world, how do we solve this activation backup problem? So they start building a couple of years ago this North Carolina data center, and now we're finally here. It kind of all fits together. Like this is where they were headed all along.
I'd like to know what the trigger for that decision was, though. Was that actually seen as a problem that people aren't hooking up their devices back to their desktops to do syncs and backups and updates?
Well, they're kind of back into it because that's post PC thing. You have to have that.
Well, I absolutely believe that this was probably the impetus for doing this, because so many people complain of having issues, and yet once they bring it into the Genius Bar, they're like, well, you haven't updated to the most recent version of the software. Right. We need to do that for you now. So not only does it make it easier for people like us who use our phones all the time and just don't want to have our phone tethered to our computer, but it also makes it easier for people who aren't power users, who aren't using their phone every single day or ever syncing it. I mean, they're using their phone every single day, but they're not syncing it with their machines and getting the most recent version of the software that way.
And you can't credibly make the argument that we're in a post-PC era if you have to hook up everything to a PC before you can use it and back it up and do everything. So I think it's two things. Mobile Me is a flop, and in order to go post-PC, we have to have this thing called iCloud. And then I think the music match is kind of iTunes match is kind of like out of nowhere. I think maybe Apple let me ask you this. Do you think Apple was pressured by Rhapsody, Mog, RDO, Spotify, Lala, all of the services that allowed you to subscribe and stream to music, that was hurting Apple?
I think it's a very elegant solution to a problem that both users have had as well as the industry. Is that the way that they've approached this is unlike every other service that's out there, which is that we're going to look at your library and then we're just going to give you access to all of those things. But it means that they don't have to store everybody's library individually. They're able to just simply know that they all have these IDs and they all have access to those as they need them, as they download to their devices. It allows people to. There's a lot of people that have been kind of living in this cloud of they've downloaded all the stuff from Napster or LimeWire or BitTorrent or whatever it is, and they always live in this cloud where they don't want to take their computer in, or they don't want anyone to see it. They don't want to do all this, and this allows them to legitimize their entire library. And at the same time, they've already written some big checks to the music industry, and they're probably going to write, my guess is they'll write checks for $500 million to $1 billion to the music industry over the next year that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. You know, that's the whole thing. That's the thing to remember, is that the music industry is getting $500 million to $1 billion is my guess on something that wasn't going to come in any other way.
Will they ever offer streaming on iCloud?
I think a subscription service is eventually going to happen. I think Apple's going to figure out how to do it.
That's essentially a subscription service.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I think
streaming
we're
subscription
so close.
service.
Yeah. When you look at Ping, and when you look at this music service that's here, Apple now has, you know, they haven't built the whole bridge to get to subscription, but they've got like half of it built. You know, and so they could do it whenever they wanted. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I think it could be 2 or 3 years away if they did it, but I think that they could do it if they wanted to.
You think so, Veronica?
I think they could definitely do it. It's not something I'm going to switch to. I've been kind of phasing out iTunes for the past 6 months or so.
Really?
And
For Amazon?
Full on for Rdio. Actually.
Rdio. Yeah, me too. I love Rdio.
I'm almost 100% on Rdio now, and I sync those tracks to my phone for when I'm not in an area where I have connection. But I think it's great that you are able to up the bit rate on your tracks and get higher quality music from that. And I didn't know that they're paying out a lot of money to the music industry as well. It's almost like they're paying for our indiscretions.
It's piracy tax. It's the piracy tax. That's the only way they could get them to do it. Just said, here's $100 million, and we'll give you $25 a year.
And that you can download these tracks to your devices is also great, because sometimes streaming doesn't work. Sometimes you're not in an area where you can stream. So being able to choose which tracks you want to put on all of your devices, I think, will be really convenient for a lot of people.
Well, I think a lot of people have stacked up. I mean, I think that one of the arguments also is that once everyone gets a clean collection, I think that they are far more likely now that, you know, a lot of people built up that collection when iTunes didn't exist. They got thousands of songs during Napster, and they've got and they've got this huge ball of illicit material. And I think that one of the arguments that Apple had to have made was, once everyone legalizes all of that, once they legitimize their library, they're probably far more likely to kind of want to keep it clean. Now that they're out of the cloud, so to speak, you know, I think that they might be more likely to buy.
But it seems like this is a game that's going to be really tough for Apple to win, because there are so many other streaming services out there. We're not just talking about stuff that Amazon's doing and that Google's doing. If you go just to the App Store, you'll find at least 3 or 4 or 5 apps, many of which link up to open source streaming software.
Aren't they kind of commoditized, though?
Where totally does not discriminate. My fear is that it'll create an economy where all the music that you should be listening to is music that Apple already has somewhere in the iTunes library. What about mashups? What about stuff from independent bands that hasn't been available on the iTunes store? I was thrilled that after, I'll sound really, really weird, but one of the things I was really waiting to come to the Amazon store and the iTunes store were all my Bob and Ray CDs, because that's the one thing where I have like $100, $200 of Bob and Ray tapes on cassette. I'm trying to avoid ever having to actually just put those tapes in and convert them into digital audio. Those are the sort of things where, if it means that it's going to be too hard to get access to off-catalog content, and if acts as a driver towards iTunes content, Apple's going to have a hard time competing with all these other services.
I have to say that the streaming services feel, maybe they're not, maybe you've tried them all, like kind of commoditized. Like it's all about 8 million songs. It's all kind of... Are there significant differences between Rdio, Mog, Rhapsody, Spotify?
I think the newer services might have less access to the wider libraries, but I've been pretty happy with the selection on Rdio.
What do you like about Rdio? I mean, why did you choose Rdio?
I like the interface a lot. I like the ability to save tracks to my iPhone and mark them for syncing. And I like the playlist features. I mean, a lot of these different sites have similar features. It's kind of just like which one you happen to fall into, or which one you happen to like the best.
Yeah.
They're roughly the same price. Yeah, I'm paying the $9.99 a month fee for Rdio, which means that I can do as many tracks, sync as many tracks as I want to my phone. But it's just a great service, and they're adding more and more music every day. And Mog is similar as well. It's another one that people really like, and I just think they're they're better for me than my kind of moderately sized iTunes library. That I don't remember the last time I played music from iTunes anymore. I just don't do it. I use the desktop Rdio app.
Yeah. Rdio, I think, has better social features. Like I can follow Veronica, see what she's listening to, and so you've got somebody with good taste. It's great.
It does music matching as well, so it'll match your current iTunes library, so you can stream that stuff as well.
I switched to Mog, which has actually been around a long time. I just had never heard of it until recently, because for two reasons. They have high quality streaming. I think they go really. I think 256 or 320. And then the other thing I like about Mog is they have a Pandora style radio. So you have a slider that you can slide. So you say, I want to hear Prince and Prince radio, and the slider goes from only Prince, and it's just random Prince tracks, to sliding it over for more artists, more artists, more artists. And you can see it build a playlist adding Prince-like artists. And so it's kind of Rhapsody-like. And I like Rhapsody. I mean, not Rhapsody, Pandora-like. And I like Pandora. I still use Pandora, so maybe I don't need Mog. But my main point is they're all kind of similar. They're minor differences.
Mm-hmm. It's so user-specific, too. I've never really gotten into music subscriptions because oddly enough, it's just too much choice for me. I don't want to simply say, great, here's 20 million songs, have at it, because now I have a new job, which is to find music that I'm interested in. Usually for me, it's because I saw something I heard something in a soundtrack someplace, or I heard something in a store, or a friend recommended me a track, and now I'm specifically looking for those couple of tracks.
Well, that's kind of why the social features on these sites are really great, because you can see what your other friends are listening to. You can see what they've added to their library recently. You can see like the top charts and what's new. So I've actually discovered a lot of music that way. And that was one of my problems with iTunes, is that I was just listening to the same music over and over again. So this has been a great music discovery service for me as well. And Pandora just seems to play the same tracks for me over and over again. No matter what I choose, I get the same stuff. So it's been nice to kind of expand my horizons a little bit.
And I think that's because you're young. Because I think as you get older, I just want to hear the same stuff over and over again. I know it and I love it. Give me more cream. I love that Ginger Baker.
We've got Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Isn't it funny that old folks like me, because when I was young, old folks like Perry Como. Now old folks like Metallica. It's just a very different world we live in.
You'll have none of this Stephen Foster nonsense with that 3/4 time. I mean, who needs that?
Way down upon the Swanee River. We're going to take a break, come back. Andy Ihnatko, you hold the thought. I know you can hold it. Just keep it right there. Yes. Alex Lindsay is here from the Pixel Corps. He's actually not here. He's in Boston with Andy Ihnatko. Andy, they are asking in the chat room that you switch that screen to a roaring fireplace. I'm sure you can.
It's a wood table. I'm sure I could fix
Just
that.
Just light it, would you? Light it on fire there. Andy Ihnatko's also here from the Chicago Sun-Times. Veronica Belmont from Techzilla and from Sony, the Core show. You were at the E3 doing a lot of stuff with Core, weren't you?
I was. It was a very busy week, so I had to catch up on all my Mac news, like today.
It's weird, because exactly. I came back from L.A., and then I went to Food Camp, and it's like, what happened? I missed everything. So this is why you listen to shows like this, so you don't have to worry. We will cover it all. But right now, I want to tell you about our friends at Citrix, the folks who do the great go-to meeting. We use, it's funny, Lisa, who does all of our biz dev and partnerships and stuff, has got to the point now where she doesn't say, let's have a phone conference or let's have a meeting. She says, I've set up a G2M. we just all know. GoToMeeting is the best way to meet, even if you're only doing a phone conference, because it's got built-in part of the whole GoToMeeting service includes a conference bridge, automatically sets that up via phone, and of course you can use VoIP. So if you're on a computer or even an iPad, you can use the built-in mic and speakers, and you don't even need a phone call. And so we do that just for the phone conferences because we know anytime I want to show a screen, and this often happens, let me show you what I'm talking about, you could do it. GoToMeeting, it's the best way to do online meetings. And if you've ever hosted an online meeting with the other guys, you know it's complicated to set up, complicated to get going. Let me tell you, if you're making a sales pitch to somebody, you can't make them jump through hoops to see your presentation. It's got to be easy. GoToMeeting, it's the easiest, most reliable online meeting service. It just works. You can start your first meeting in seconds. Everyone can join in seconds, even if they've never installed the software before. They just click the link in the email. They say, I think you say accept or allow, because it's Java and it's going to download the Java file, and boom, it's running. No headaches, no routers to configure, no time wasted. It will reduce meeting-related expenses like flying somewhere, but also even exchanging meeting materials. Because VoIP's included, it saves you money on that. And of course, because it's brought to you by Citrix, it's 128-bit SSL secure, great support and service. It's just really good. I want you to try it free. 30 days. Free. Go to meeting.com, G-O-T-O, meeting.com. Click the Try It Free button, and I want to give you the promo code for this so we get credit. Not that Techzilla show or anything. Not that I don't want them to get credit, but the offer code is MacBreak. So go to meeting.com, click the orange Try It Free button. Very simple to sign up free for 30 days, and then just put MacBreak, M-A-C-B-R-E-A-K in the offer code, and boom, you're there for 30 days, absolutely free. We thank the folks at Citrix for supporting MacBreak Weekly. So when does the iTunes match start? When can I start doing that? Did they say?
I think that's going to be reserved for when iOS 5 first comes out, along with the rest of the iCloud.
Oh, that makes sense. So we have some iCloud features now. Like I was just
iTunes in the cloud is still working. Automatic syncing of software and audio purchases in iTunes is already working.
Okay, I like that. And you get a little download button. So this is the new iTunes, which you downloaded last week, of course. And
oh yeah, I have that one too.
Yeah, so you can look and see, like, for some reason, I don't know, I never heard of this group, Haiku d'Etat, Abstract Rude. It's probably something Abby, because she likes strange music, got. So it's like something we bought. This is purchased music. And now if I want, it's got a little cloud icon. Let me scroll in and show you. I said, let me scroll in and show you. It's got a little cloud icon, and I could just download these and put them on my computer. So that's nice.
Already, that was like formerly a super top secret thing you could get through Apple customer service, where if you had a hard drive crash and you lost everything you ever bought, they would allow you one magic undo of re-downloading everything. Now everything you've ever bought from the iTunes store is specifically re-downloadable.
That's kind of a lifesaver, frankly.
Yeah. There's also now a new option in the settings file. In the settings for your iPad and your iPod that will just simply say, make sure that every time that I buy something on iTunes, you automatically let iCloud sync it down, so you don't have to hook anything up in order to get that new George Harrison track. It'll all just automatically.
Nice. Does it do that with video too? Because it seems like that would be the.
Not yet.
Because I've downloaded a lot of movies and TV shows, and
And that's really what I'm looking for. That's what I love about Google Music. You don't have to think about what's being supported, what's not being supported. It's just that simply, magically, whatever landed in your iTunes library. I'm sorry, I should be specific. I don't believe that they support video either.
No, they don't. It's just music, yeah.
But the implication is that it doesn't care where it came from. It's going to be synced to every single device you have.
Inevitably, somebody owns iCloud, the word. iCloud Communications. They're suing. Why doesn't Apple check?
Well, I guess they never registered. iCloud Communications never registered iCloud as a trademark.
Oh, you
So Apple
nitwits.
actually does own the trademark for iCloud.
Well, I don't think they're going to have a chance. The Arizona-based company points out that its own trademarks have been in use since 2005. Apple has infringed on its name. The company focuses on VoIP solutions for business and residential customers. And one thing I've learned through massive lawsuits that I myself have filed is that you can have duplicate trademarks in different areas as long as there's no confusion. So a court may say, well, you're in VoIP, Apple's doing music or data, and so it's not confusing.
I think a good practice is just not to stick an I before your name.
Yeah, that would be dumb. Apple owns I.
No, actually,
they don't own it, but you can kind of count on the fact that they're going to launch something.
At some point.
I think it's a very good practice to go through the dictionary, find any word that you can stick an I front of that hasn't had the domain name sold yet. I bulb, I lacquer, I drywall. If you can register a domain name for $4 a whack, I think there's at least a 1 in 1,000 chance that eventually Apple will get around to you and offer you at least a 17-inch MacBook Pro to go away.
And the reality is there's millions of people that now know that they exist that didn't have any idea that they existed.
Yeah, that's what people tell me about Twitter and Twit. Oh, you should be glad Twitter took your name.
Oh, I don't buy that one.
You should be glad. Now people know about Twit. No.
No. I'm saying in the beginning that's the case, but I think that what's going to end up happening is that Apple's going to pay them a couple $1 million to change their brand. I mean, I think that we'll just say iCloud communications is now blah 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 blah. I don't think that.
Yeah, that's why they're going to court, even though they don't have a trademark.
Right. It'll be mitigating circumstances. They'll get less out of it, but I think that in the end, Apple's going to find it cheaper and easier just to. Apple's lost a couple. Bonjour, was it
Mighty Mouse? Remember they called the original Magic Mouse Mighty Mouse? Here I am to save the day.
It was a terrible cartoon anyway. So
I love Mighty Mouse. Next he's gonna.
Are you talking about the Terry Toons version or the Ralph Bakshi version? Because
Terry Toons.
I don't know, the one that was on TV. I don't remember.
Terry Toons. Here I am to save the day.
Yeah.
Mighty Mouse is on his way.
Hey, Herman Cat was no Bugs Bunny. You could outwit Herman Cat with 3 ends of a shoelace and 2 paper clips. Okay, so I don't know where he's getting all this mighty stuff from. I could take any of those chipmunks out there right now, and they could beat the crap
should we
out
just
of that
take them down right now?
And they're not terribly clever either.
Sounds like we need to have a karaoke off.
Oh, hey. Okay, so Veronica, I've been trying to find a song that the two of us could sing. I think the Mighty Mouse theme.
Sounds like a challenge.
I don't know if that's good for karaoke. I do have one of those minds for theme songs, though. I remember like every single theme song from my childhood and from shows I never even watched. It's kind of creepy.
Okay, Knight Rider.
Oh, I don't know that one.
That's right. He's right. He's right. It's very easy to remember because it's one note over and over and over.
Like the Gummy Bears theme song. That's it.
Just like David Hasselhoff's acting.
One note. What is a famous Alexander Wolcott or somebody like that review of a play said they ran the gamut of emotions from A to B.
Sorry, I've derailed us.
No, you should never apologize. We even have a theme song for derailing. Did you know that?
Play the theme song.
I haven't played it in ages, but now that Veronica's here.
We used it for so long, it was actually mastered on 78.
Yeah, so that's how
it was originally a Victory disc recording by Bing Crosby.
Sometimes Leo accidentally plays it on 33 and it kind of goes.
Yes, thank you for that rat hole. Brought to you by Citrix. We should have a sponsor. What would be a good sponsor for digressions? Is there an Alzheimer's medicine we could plug?
Twitter, Facebook,
social media. This rat hole brought to you by social media. Oh, I know. Brought to you by Adderall. If you find yourself distracted frequently. Ritalin sponsors.
Please stay with us until we read the entire URL. Please. When you get to a .com, then you can go over to your Twitter account. Come on.
One thing that was kind of funny at Fukia, I don't want to keep belaboring this, but I was at the Friends of O'Reilly camp, which Veronica's been there. It's really fun. But everybody there is ADD. I mean, everybody. So it's just one long rat hole the whole weekend. At one point,
sessions just evolve into people talking about something completely different.
Completely different.
It's a lot of fun, though.
You learn a lot.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. You'll go to a session that's about big data and data visualizations, and you'll end up talking about fried foods. And it's like, okay. I went to one session about big data and visualizations, and I guess she had all her slides for the visualizations on her iPad and no way to connect it. So we all gathered around the speaker, and she showed us. See this? That's what I like about unconferences. They're very relaxed. So word coming now that Rosetta is deada. No Rosetta in Lion, which means if you've got any older... does Rosetta Carbon? Or Rosetta's for OS 9 stuff? It's OS 9 stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. Basically all the legacy stuff that we were still trying to drag along.
Occasionally I'll run a program. I don't have Rosetta installed on my computer.
Finally, HyperCard, you've got to find a new solution, folks. HyperCard's not going to...
That makes me sad. I don't like HyperCard.
Yeah, and I think that for us, we'll probably end up having one computer that just has that stays on the old system just so we can open things if we need to. If there turns out to be a file that we need, there's like, take it over to the old Mac Mini over there. It's still running that.
I'm gonna have to recommend people, but sometime before Lion, make sure you just like drive around the streets of your neighborhood prior to trash day until you find a good Mac LC3, let's say, and then just pull it out of the trash. You're good to go.
And by the way, it was PowerPC according to the chat room.
Okay, so it's not the operating system.
OS
it's
9. Yeah.
supported PowerPC applications. I got it. So everything's Intel now. Thank you, chat room. They're very good. Mm-hmm. Very good for correcting me when I'm stupid. I have to say, Apple's kind of aggressively pushing you into the new world because you can't even get Lion unless you have the App Store, and you can't have the App Store unless you have Snow Leopard.
But with the price points that they're doing, they're making it pretty easy. I mean, it's it's $30 to upgrade your operating system. I
60 total. If you're at Leopard, you'll have to get $30 for Snow.
What do you do if you have like a bunch of computers that you need to update? Do you just have to all... we were talking about this on Texilla this week, actually, for the episode that comes out on Thursday. And one guy wrote in saying that he doesn't have a very fast internet connection, and he has like 5 computers at his house, and to download all of the Lion copies would take a really long time, and he's wondering, are they going to offer it on a disk, or is there some way that he can copy it over to his other machines?
It's unknown, but I'll tell you what you can do now. You can actually... the developer version, I suspect there'll be an automated way of doing this, but you can open the package in the developer version. There's a DMG file that is actually an image that you could then put on a CD or a USB key and carry around. Not a CD.
I think you can burn it to a thumb drive or something like that too.
So I presume, because that's in the developer version, that Apple will probably have a button. I'm going to guess, but we don't know. But on a button on the, you'll download it on your App Store, and then it'll have a button that says burn a CD. And you want that, because what if you have a crash?
Well,
how are you going to reinstall?
What if you're supporting 100 Macs at a school? You don't want to have to click download 100 times.
Right. That's kind of the point I was getting at too.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of reasons why you have to have a CD. So, or I'm sorry, I keep saying CD. It won't fit on a CD. A DVD or a USB key. And my MacBook Air has that great little USB key that has the OS on it. I think that's a great way to go. Is carry around a USB key that's got your operating system on it. And
it's gonna sound like I'm being snarky here, but I almost wish that thing came attached to like a big block of 2x4, like a men's room key, because I've been loaned 2 different MacBook Airs by Apple. They have never gone back with it's a stick of Trident gum, and unless you let's tape it to something big, you are going to lose it.
I keep it on my keychain.
I think a large spoon.
Actually, it's so small I've lost it on my keychain. I can't. It's somewhere here. I don't know. Here's a mustache. What's that doing on the keychain?
Do you keep that on your keychain all the time?
Well, you never know when you might need a mustache.
That's true. That's true.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about anymore. I'm sorry.
All right, this is actually this is not it.
Talking about
MacBook.
Lion.
Yeah, welcome. I played the Rat Hole music, but I lost it on my keychain. This is a similar size. This is a tough and tiny from Verbatim, but this is very similar to what they use on the that comes with the MacBook Air. You don't have an Air, Veronica? It seems like
I don't. I'm going to wait for the next one. I'm going to get one.
You're
I'm
so fast.
My 13-inch MacBook Pro with the new Air, I think.
The rumor,
that's my plan.
Digitime's rumor, there's a new Air coming in a month or 2.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Air with Thunderbolt is going to be one hot mamma jamma.
Yeah.
I had the possibility. I had a little extra money lying around, and I was thinking about using it to buy an 11-inch Air, because that was one of those times where you send back the loaner and you're like, my life is somehow less perfect now that I don't have an 11-inch Air.
There's a hole in my life.
But I think that I was able to talk myself out of it about, but it only has these couple ports. You do it for high speed anything. But now that I know that, now that it's pretty much an accepted deal that this thing is going to have that super incredibly cool Thunderbolt port, and also that the next edition of macOS is going to simply say, if you don't have a whole lot of storage, we don't care. We'll help you leverage the small storage that you have to have access to everything that you might ever actually own. That 11-inch Air is starting to look pretty dang good.
I love my Air. And that's why I thought for sure, because Veronica, maybe people don't know how fashion forward Veronica is, but she has a blog.
I do have a fashion
lady
blog.
Fashion. That's kind of a backhanded thing, I think.
Oh, you're showing my fashion blog.
There
That's
it is.
Cute.
The lady likes. Oh, I like that watch.
Some of the photos aren't working.
I like that watch.
Reload.
Ooh, that's like Mr. Excel had a clock with Excel formulas for each number. But this is even like, for noon you get the cube root of 1728. Oh, man, I like that.
I found that on Laughing Squid.
Beauteous. I don't even know what some of these are. What's that? Is that
I can't
binary?
see we're lagged, so I can't see what you're looking at yet.
It's binary. That's what it is.
You're looking at the okay.
Yeah, the binary watch.
Yeah.
Very nice site, by the way. Everybody should go there. Do you know about fab.com?
Yes, I'm a big Fab fan.
Me too. I sent out invites to everybody.
I haven't bought anything yet.
No, me neither. I just like looking at it.
Ooh, I'm going to post my invite link in the chat room.
Yeah, because I already got to like the top level of Prime because I tweeted it.
Oh, see, I don't abuse Twitter that way, Leo.
I do. I've got free shipping for 6 months. But I won't give out my invite code. You look, a Canork.
Okay, I'll do that.
This is not fashion, this is design, but it's just kind of fun.
No, they've got some good stuff.
Yeah.
That outdoor furniture is really, really cute. It looks like the DWR stuff, actually.
But now you have to get an outdoor.
I have a deck.
Oh, there you go.
I do.
Okay, now I have to play the rat hole theme. Moving right along.
You started it. You talked about fashion. Back to MacBook Airs.
I totally started it, and I am never, ever going to deny that. I'm the king of rat holes, now that Merlin's moved on. Nokia and Apple have settled, apparently with a big check for, who would you guess? Apple? Nokia? They were both suing each other over patents. Nokia wins.
Yeah.
They didn't say how much, but they said it's enough to affect our bottom line.
Not only that, but they're actually now getting a royalty off of the iPhone. Yeah. So anybody who's now holding Nokia stock is now really happy about that.
In fact, the stock went up.
Yeah, and you also have to figure that any patent that Apple was infringing on. I've used a Nokia phone. I've got Nokia phones holding up wobbly table legs in my house. If they're infringing on that patent, then that basically means that any smartphone is infringing on Nokia's patent. And the fact that Apple has simply said, if we give you money and a royalty, will you go away? Means that Nokia can now ask that of pretty much anybody. So they're going to be that kid at that kid in college whose dorm room has the 60-inch plasma display and like the 8 game consoles and all the really expensive furniture, and you don't know where his money is coming from because he never seems to actually work at a job. And that's going to be Nokia for the next 5 years.
I mean, you can get to a point where Nokia is simply just holding patents.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you may.
Patent squatter.
Unless you believe that Windows Phone 7 is going to save Nokia, what do they got? It's not Symbian. I mean, and I get hate mail from people when I say anything bad about Symbian. I love Symbian. I was a Scion user, but it's just not kept up, I have to say. I actually bought an N8 hoping and praying, and no.
I thought, aren't they? No, never mind. They're not phasing out Symbian, are they? Or are
yes,
they?
Yes.
They are. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, Migo is dead. The guy, the Nokia CTO is missing in action. But they're not expected to return. I'm not kidding.
The board took him to a farm where he could roam and be free.
But he was the guy behind Migo, which was their Linux kind of operating system on the N900. I bought that too. I am such a... I'm going to hit
You're just like trying new things.
I'm
it's
stupid.
okay.
Well, I keep thinking Nokia will come back because I'm a Nokia fan, but no, I don't think so. Although some estimates are that this may be as much as $130 million a quarter and a $600 million payment to Nokia. We don't know because Nokia's not saying, but that's a lot of money, a lot of loot.
I hope we get to find out exactly what areas Apple conceded on, and what areas Apple simply said, no, this is not your technology.
Oh, I'm sure we
never
won't
have to license this. I would love to see that because every time that I read one of the findings of one of these patent hearings, I have to lower my understanding and expectations of what actually constitutes patentable technology. It's absolutely shocking.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mess. It's just an ugly ass mess.
You're putting the 9 next to the 8. Well, unfortunately, we developed that at AT&T Bell Systems in 1971.
You could patent
the
that.
number 8.
You could patent that, a system for sequencing numbers by incrementing by 1.
It's an infinity symbol turned around 90 degrees, so it doesn't use your patent. However, we've patented printing an infinity symbol on its side.
I went to a great talk on physical security, in which the guy who is a hobbyist who collects locks. You want to know how crazy the patent world is. Locks. There haven't been really many improvements in locks in 150 years, mostly because of patents. It's gotten to the point now where locks are really just a symbol of security, not actual security. You can put on a lock on your door, and it's basically saying, please, don't come in here.
Wasn't there always that time in almost everybody's history when suddenly they got the answer to the question of how come I often see so many disposable white Bic pens with the ends plugged out and the ends kind of stretched out, just lying in the middle of the sidewalk, and you think that people are just chewing on the pen. I guess they're doing that a lot, and then you realize that no, each one of those pens represents another bike lock that was defeated in about 3 seconds.
By the way, Veronica is now very happy because you are. What did you get to? Prime?
Oh yeah. Awesome. They all joined. You guys are awesome.
See? So she has compunction about using Twitter for that, but she'll use our IRC.
I'll use your chat room. Oh, yeah.
FAB.com/UPOQ3B. Why do they do that? That's the invite. It's all lowercase. UPOQ3B. If you're not a member of Fab yet, use that invite code. It's like Guilt or all of those other, where you get daily fashion mails. It's better than Groupon. I think I just read an analysis.
It's different. It's totally different because it's a flash sale site as opposed to a Groupon Ponzi scheme. It's a different kind of thing.
Thank you for describing it that way. I really do think it's starting to look like that, isn't it?
It's
a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But it's great design stuff, and they just launched a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I've been a big fan. Haven't bought anything off of it yet, but I have come pretty close.
It's a drool site where you look at it. I want that. And you know what? I haven't either, and I know why, Veronica. Because the minute I buy my first thing, it's all over. I will now start buying a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
That's why I don't have any tattoos.
Yeah, don't get the first one because then it's easy.
I get the first one on my back of my shoulder, and the next thing you know, it'll be all up my arm.
By the way, Andy, I want to thank you for the roaring fire. I didn't notice.
There you go.
You rock.
That monitor is going to have to. The room is filling with noxious fumes because there's nothing ventilated here. But all for you.
You need a carbon monoxide monitor. So Apple has decided. Now is this a sign of the iPhone 4S or 5 coming or what? Apple has decided to start selling unlocked iPhones in the U.S. They've never done this before. They're not cheap. They start at $650. But you can get them now unlocked. It is GSM. It's not the Verizon version, and which means it will run on AT&T and T-Mobile, but not exactly because it's not 3G on T-Mobile. It doesn't have T-Mobile's 3G frequency, just their 2G frequency, their edge frequency, which means it'd be slow data. More importantly, though, I think there's no contract, so you could get it from AT&T contract-free, or for AT&T contract-free. And if you travel, you could pop the SIM, go to France, buy a SIM from Orange, pop it in, and use it there.
And I have to say, I'm actually seriously considering something like that because I spend enough time overseas.
Yeah.
That,
me too.
And it's really expensive.
Would you use it? Where do you go? Japan a lot, right?
I go to Japan a lot, yeah. And Europe, but mostly Japan. So I'd have to figure it out. I think it would work over there.
Oh, there's iPhones everywhere now, so it's just
we've swapped SIMs in Japan before without any trouble with the older 3G, 3GS.
Okay.
I wonder how at what point they'll offer iPhone 5 when it eventually comes out unlocked. If they'll do that right off the bat, or if they'll wait for a while, like with the iPhone 4.
Interesting. The point is made that they've been selling unlocked in Europe and around the world for a long time. I think since day one, but that was mostly, I think, because regulators required it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now that with obviously they were locked into AT&T for some period of time. Then I think that they gave Verizon a window of protection so they could get some money out of the relationship, and then and drive that. And I think now we're going to an unlocked iPhone world where companies may underwrite it, but I think that we're going to see it on all the services at this point.
Is it a sign that the iPhone 5 is or I'm calling it the iPhone 5 generically, the next generation iPhone is going to be out, you think, in the fall with iOS?
That's what people are saying. They're saying it might go into production in July and then be ready for shipping in September. It seems a little bit soon, but who knows?
Yeah, there's some rumors floating around that there's now hardware in the hands of Apple employees. They're using it as their daily driver. But that's just a rumor. We're definitely looking at, even if that were the case, we'd be looking at a window of 4 or 5 months before.
I just say it's a rumor until someone finds one in a bar.
I got to tell you something. There was a guy in here who shall remain nameless, showed me a picture. He said, I saw the iPhone 5. I saw it in a bar. He said, "Guy, no,
give it back to him."
No, he didn't. It was
used by a priest, a nun, and a duck.
He spotted a guy who had what he thought was a Nexus S because it was slightly curvy, very thin. He said, very black, And then he saw the iPhone interface on it. It was just sitting here, and the guy, as soon as he noticed, this was, you know, in the Silicon Valley area, as soon as he noticed this other guy looking like that, he went, no, you're not going to see that anymore, put it in his pocket. So this does confirm the rumors that we've heard. And he showed me a picture, and it looked just like a Nexus S, slightly curved, very thin.
But he got a picture of it?
He snapped a picture of it. And he showed me, but I'm not going to say his name, and I'm not going to say who saw it. But because I don't want another Gizmodo on our hands here. I don't want the police coming and taking all our computers. Actually, they may now because I know who it is. Right? I forgot.
But he didn't.
I know. I did.
He didn't steal it and take it apart. He just took a picture in a public place. He's allowed to do that.
Oh, really?
Well, it's still partly America.
Isn't he allowed if somebody leaves it around to pick it up
and take it home and take it apart? Not so
I guess it's technically illegal.
Yeah, it's like theft.
Let's make sure we do. Let's just go around the horn and do a sound check so that we can identify the law enforcement who is making those comments and who is not making those comments.
Ihnatko.
I'm not making those comments.
Ihnatko.
It's kind of cool though, because if there's a whole community of Android users that are reflashing the ROMs and substituting.
It could be
really elegant ROMs. So there's one, I think it's called the MiROM, something like that, MIR. That is, if you can see demo videos of it on YouTube, that is just the slickest, most elegant, fluid thing you would ever think you'd ever see on an Android device. That if someone promoted that as, hey, we just got some sneaky video of the next version of iOS 6, you would think you would say, oh, okay, yeah, right, I'll do that when I see it. But somewhere in the back of your head, it would say you would expect Apple to do something as this does not look the way that I would expect an Android phone to look. This looks the way I would expect an iPhone to look. But that's interesting that if someone is saying that they've actually snapped a photo, they're definitely putting their neck weight on the line. So that at least it makes him a bold idiot as opposed to just either way to be pleased.
So, but we do hear rumors. This is from 9 to 5 Mac that the next iPhone is in final testing stage. And that Verizon won't support 3G FaceTime this year. This is all from kind of people looking at iOS 5 and so forth. Apple and Verizon have yet to strike a deal regarding FaceTime over 3G. Will we have FaceTime over 3G on the AT&T iPhone? I wonder. So the iOS SDK apparently indicates there will continue to be a 5-megapixel camera. So that 8 megapixels that we were thinking about after Howard Stringer implied that there would be Sony's best camera will be in the iPhone. Maybe not.
I've never been convinced by that. I think that Apple's always going to simply they're not going to be swayed by numbers. They're always going to be swayed by what processing software can we put behind it to make what can we do to make sure the photos that come out of there are going to be the best photos possible. Right. It's not always necessarily.
And they do a damn good job right now. I mean, there's just no question that iPhone has a great
the iPhone 5 is still at the top of the heap, unless you're buying a camera that actually has Carl Zeiss glass inside it and it's designed to be a really good 5-megapixel digital camera with, oh, by the way, we also managed to cram in a GSM phone.
You mean like this fine Nokia N80 with a Carl Zeiss lens and a 12-megapixel camera? You mean like that, Ihnatko? Piece of crap.
Yeah. Awkward.
Awkward.
There are children in Vermont who would love to have a phone like that.
Well, and I still think, especially with these phones, I think that paying more attention to the sensitivity of the chip and the low grain and everything else is way more important than resolution. I think on a pocket phone, I'd much rather have them take that precious real estate and play with how do we make it so that it works better in low light, because that's what the average user is really using it for. They're indoors, they're taking pictures of their family, they're taking pictures of stuff, and having it handle that low light information better is far more important than making it any bigger. If you want it bigger, get a snapshot camera or get an SLR.
Or get a Nokia.
I'm surprised by how many people tell me that they're using their iPhone 5 camera just as a regular camera.
It's a good camera.
It's the camera that I happen to have with me when I didn't plan to take a camera with me, but I still have at least a real pocket camera when I think
I'm embarrassed to say I don't even take my S90 with me anywhere anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I feel kind of bad about that, but it's just one more thing to pack now.
Right.
And I'm not like a serious photographer like a lot of you guys, so it's not that important to me. I just like to snap moments and put them on Instagram, that kind of thing.
I agree, and it's the combination of a decent, not great, but decent camera with great software selections and abilities, and this social stuff like Instagram that really puts it over the top.
I have to admit that services like Instagram really schooled me on how out of step a lot of my assumptions about photography, mobile photography were, because I've never warmed to these services where even if you're taking a picture on a camera phone, your iPhone 5 can take some excellent photos. Why would you then want to take that picture and put it through a piece of software that makes it look like a Fisher-Price 1971 plastic lens distorted camera? And unfortunately, the answer to that question is that because some people regard photography as something fun. Whereas I at least even when I'm just taking camera, even when I think I'm taking pictures for fun, part of it is that I want to capture the best data I can at the scene before this moment passes. So it just goes to show that sometimes, that society makes its own decisions that are more appropriate for society, and it doesn't matter that something is not technically advanced so long as it fits in with how people are reacting to this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say the number one reason that I miss an SLR or want to have something that's beefier is specifically in low light, which I just talked about. But I mean, I think that like I'm in an indoor situation, I really wished I had something a little bit faster, and that's why I think it's so important for them to keep on moving that forward, is because the rest of it kind of works for me.
Look at that, 12 megapixels, Carl Zeiss glass. Who wants to buy my Nokia N80?
There you go.
Look at that.
Of course, it only has 7 digits on the keypad, but so long as you're very selective about who you want to call, you're doing pretty good.
It's really, I wanted this phone to be good. Hey, by the way, Andy, thanks to our chat room, you can now charge your iPhone from that roaring fire behind you.
Nice.
Isn't that good? This is the Hatsuden Nabe. Basically, it's a pot with a USB cable coming out of it. When it's heated up, cooking beans or whatever else while camping, you plug in your phone. It takes 3 to 5 hours. That's a lot of beans.
So you got to cut down a lot of old growth trees in order to get 2 bars better. I'm not sure how green it is. I mean,
talk about your carbon footprint. I mean,
I think it's if you're camping, you're doing it anyway, right? I mean, I wouldn't recommend this at home.
Well, to keep the bears away, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, the good news here is if you have that with you and you get lost in the forest, we've had these people who get completely lost, and your phone dies. Now you don't have GPS, you can't call anyone. At least if you go out and find some bramble, you can light a fire and.
I see. We don't talk about this often enough. This is part of the dark rear side of Kickstarter projects, because anybody can come up with the dumbest idea, and then if just 1,000 people think, you know what, I want to see this guy make a fool out of himself. I'm willing to spend $5 to cause this guy to waste 4 months on a totally unmarketable product. Yes, please put me down for $10 and definitely.
I feel like I'm seeing a lot of Kickstarter abuse lately.
Really?
And
like what?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are just kind of starting projects and putting them on Kickstarter. I don't know if they would have had these ideas pre-Kickstarter, but I feel like now that that's around, it's exactly as he was just saying. It's making a lot of projects that people are putting a lot of money into that maybe are not the best ideas.
This was one of the best, though. Look at this. This is the that watch band that the guy put out, and that's an iPod Nano in there. Isn't that clever?
That already exists, though.
It's great to turn time telling into a 3-step process.
There it is. There you go. There you go. I pushed the button and the light came on. Isn't that cool? Actually, I should thank Paul Saltzman, who's in our audience today from Washington State, who's actually was wearing that.
It is super cool. That's
the one that everybody went, wow, Kickstarter works.
For 5 years, I wore watches that at some point I had a Millennium Falcon wristwatch where it was a die-cast model of the Millennium Falcon, and you have to actually pop a pocket watch sort of spring to get the dome section to pop up so you could see the time. And I wound up resting the button because I'd always be I'm walking through an airport, I've got my bags in my hand, and the only way to find out if I'm going to miss my flight is to go like that to the watch to see if I can find out what time it is. So as cool as that idea is, I don't want to go back to those dark times ever again.
Have you ever, Veronica, bought a Kickstarter?
I've given to 3 different things for Kickstarter. I did one for Pad Pivot. I did one for radiation detection devices for Japan.
Oh, that's
And
neat.
I did one for a local farm, actually, a local urban farm.
So you treat it kind of as a charity?
Yeah, in a way I do. Definitely.
Yeah, I think
except for the Pad Pivot one. I mean, that was
did you get a Pad Pivot?
A cool product. They're sending them out soon, I believe.
And
so not
I
yet,
got the
but
one
soon.
with the little, I can't think of the name of it right now. It's the one that you put your iPhone into that you can put it in a bunch of different angles. The Glyph.
The Glyph.
Which had turned out to be fantastic. And I think that was the big example of what works about Kickstarter. These guys thought of a incredibly elegant solution to, and simple solution. They printed it on Shapeways. They put it up there and showed everyone what they would do with it. And they raised like $250,000. And it's actually a very useful device, and they started their little company with it.
We had one, actually, one of our interns from Texilla, Danny Fukuba, he was working on a project called the Una, and they actually raised over $130,000 for their project. And it's a tiny little iPod, or actually it works for any phone, I'm pretty sure. It's like a suction cup on one end, a suction cup on the other end, and a little pivot arm on one side, and it works fabulously. He showed it off on the show this week, and they raised a ton of money. And now they're like trying to keep up with all their orders. They're going overseas for people to make the product, and it's a really good success story actually about how Kickstarter can find good projects and then make them, really successful right off the bat.
I did Diaspora. That was my first Kickstarter project. That was the one that was supposed to replace Facebook. That's gone well. It's gone very well. And then I bought a Kickstarter thing for, see, you do charity, Veronica. You do like good things. I bought this dice game. It looked really cool. I saw it on Boing Boing. I'm trying to find it now. Kind of a dice game that you have, I don't know. I was going to give them a plug, but why the hell? They already way exceeded. By the way, that's what's the other thing that's weird about Kickstarter. They already way exceeded their amount. I mean, they're going to collect like $30,000 on this thing. But that's, I guess, the success, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's take a break. Come back with more. Veronica Belmont is here from Techzilla. It's great to have her, as always. Somebody in the chat room, Crucial Wax, says, hey, Diaspora is still in alpha. Just you wait. Someday they'll be in beta. Also here, Andy Ihnatko and Alex Lindsay and a roaring fire. It's beautiful. Oh, here's the dice. These ain't your grandpappy's dice. This is a game with like kind of weirdly sculpted dice like this, and then you do something, you shake them or something. But see, they wanted $10,000. They've raised $23,000 already. They better make these damn dice. Anyway, I'm gonna get some. So if you guys want to come over and play a strange game with weird-ass dice, I'll be the first at my block. Aren't people glad now to support our sponsors knowing that Leo is doing such a good job using the money that you give us? No, this is my personal money I spent on that crap. The money you give us actually goes to things like our new Twit Cottage. And you know what? One of the things I like about Gazelle.com, they give you money. You don't give them money. Now, you got to like that. Have you tried Gazelle? We've all got gadgets that really are, frankly, just taking up space. Things we thought were a good idea at the time, but perhaps just aren't so hot anymore. Things perhaps we'd like to get some money for. But there's somebody who can use these, and that's why you go to GAZELLE.com. Don't sell it. Gazelle it. I like their tagline. Keep it moving. Pass the gadget along. It's good for the ecosystem and good for your pocketbook. On average, the average Gazelle customer gets more than $100 from Gazelle. And I'm going to tell you how you can get even a little bit more. They've got all sorts of categories. Here's how it works. You enter in what you've got. Let's see what I have. A Nokia N80. And then you search for that. There it is. And then they'll ask you a couple of questions about what, is it working? Oh, yeah, this thing is in perfect shape. Continue. And then let's see here. Yeah, I've got all the boxing and everything. Software cables. Yeah, I got it all. It's free of water damage? You bet it's free of water damage. You better believe it, because frankly, it's just been in my drawer for $161. I'll take it. So here's what the deal. You see this button, add to box? You just throw it in a box. Once you get all your stuff in there, jam it full of stuff. Then they'll give you a printable mailing label you put on there. They pay the postage. You send it to Gazelle. They look at it. Here's the interesting thing. Often they give you more money than they said on the estimate. Sometimes less. If you said, yeah, it's perfect condition and it's not, the glass is broken, they'll of course lower their estimate. But they're very honest, and frequently they will actually give you more money, saying, you know what, this is worth more. They will wipe your data, by the way. You never have to worry about your data. That's one of the things they do as a service. And then they send you a check. Or you can get a credit. I think they have PayPal, Amazon, and Walmart gift cards. In fact, if you do the Amazon gift card, you get a 5% additional bonus. You get more money. They kind of give you the rebate back, I guess, on it. And now here's how you can make more money. If you use the code MacBreak when you check out, you'll get an additional 5%. So get all the quotes, enter MacBreak, another 5% on your gadgets. It's a great way to get rid of, clear out the garage, get rid of old gadgets that you're not using, get ready for the Wii U, sell your Wii so you can have a Wii U. Your iPad 2, because I guess I'm hearing rumors iPad 3 is coming this year, maybe. We'll talk about that in a second. GAZELLE.com. Don't sell it. Gazelle it. And by the way, if your device is just really can't be sold, is really too old, or is in such bad condition, you can still put it in the box, and they do responsible recycling. They guarantee not to export it, to use green recyclers. You can read all about it on the Gazelle page. Also a great way to raise money for charity. You don't have to have a bake sale. Have a gadget drive. Gazelle.com. One of my favorite sponsors, and one of the few sponsors we have where they give you money. I like that. They pay you to use them. What do you think? What do you think of the rumors? iPad coming this fall, Veronica? Are you an iPad 2 user?
I am an iPad 2 user, but I'm not really ready to upgrade yet. So
that's the question.
I guess I'll just have to enjoy it when it comes out and wait a while and then get one eventually.
Okay,
I guess.
what if
too many updates?
What if, and this is the rumor, the screen resolution is 4 or 5 times higher?
And like
Retina.
Like Retina display?
Yep.
It wouldn't make that much of a difference to me. I'm happy I upgraded to iPad 2. I'm giving my mom my original iPad.
Yeah.
But if that's the only major change, I don't think it would be worth upgrading, for me at least.
Yeah.
I think that people ask me, about should I upgrade to iPad 2, and I have to say, I said, if you've already got an iPad 1, you're probably fine. There's not a lot in iPad 2 that you're going to really need. Now, if you already have an iPad, going from iPad 1 to iPad 3, I think makes sense. Going from iPad 2 to iPad 3, unless you're in the industry and you have to pay attention to it, I'm not sure if it.
Yeah.
I typically skip a generation with things like that, especially with iPhones. But yeah, the iPad I don't use it enough. I guess I use it every day. Now I'm stumbling over my words because I'm trying to really let you know how I feel about this situation.
How do you really feel, Veronica?
How do I really feel? It's not, there's often not enough of an update for me between phones. Like I never upgraded to the 3GS. I went from 3G to 4. And I don't think I will upgrade to the iPad 3 unless like I said, there's a major change. It's the software that really matters the most to me.
I think the big thing to wait for is now 4G. Especially because, as a matter of fact, 4G, if there's an iPhone 5 with 4G, I think not only would that get me to upgrade immediately, but it also would get me to switch from AT&T to Verizon. So,
We take you now to the Cupertino City Council, where Steve Jobs is about to speak.
We think we do very well with that here.
This is the day after WWDC on Tuesday of last week. Steve went to the Cupertino City Council to present pictures of the new Apple Spaceship that he would like to put on the ground. This is actually a very cool building. They say now that he's been thinking about a kind of signature building for Apple since 1983. They've now got the money in the bank to do this thing, this amazing curved building.
It is gorgeous. There's probably how do I get a job at Apple?
No kidding.
Just looking at the building. It's just.
Well, you got to think that he kind of thinks this as his legacy. This is the old Apple campus. They bought a parcel from Hewlett-Packard, and they're going to put in more trees, take out surface parking, build underground parking for 12,000 cars. This is their expectation that Apple will go to, 18,000 employees, something like
13,000.
that. 13,000. And so they'll all be housed in this new circular spaceship that looks like the Pentagon without any edges.
No. It's like the Pentagon with infinite number of edges.
He says there's not a straight piece of glass in the place. There it is.
It's the Pentagon properly tessellated.
What I thought was interesting, though, is that obviously all of the questions that came from the city council were properly fawning as is only proper for the person who brings 13,000 jobs, an ungodly number.
Is it proper, though, to ask for free iPads and Wi-Fi?
Well, no, they said
I can only. Yeah, go ahead.
They said that, yeah, but he had the proper response. Someone said, one of the city council said, well, what's the community getting back from this? Like, we give us free Wi-Fi. And Steve just like paused for a second and said, we think we pay a lot of taxes, and that's I think something close to the actual quote was, I like simple solutions. The simple solution is that we give you a lot of money in taxes, and then you install free Wi-Fi for everybody.
Good idea.
And he said, it was great. He said, if you want to bypass the taxes that we pay, we're happy to give you Wi-Fi.
Quick thinking, Mr. Jobs. Well played, sir.
You could see it going on in his head, though. You could see the anger. Like when they're asking, he's building this outrageously cool building that's going to bring more work and more construction and more people into Cupertino. And they're asking about Wi-Fi, and you're just like, oh.
And be ecologically sound too. Yeah. I mean, it's really kind of a neat.
But at the same thing, the question that I would have liked them to ask is, he made a lot of boasts about how they're replacing all these really ugly-looking corporate buildings with open grassland, and they're putting all the parking underground. But he also pointed out that he's using all the buildings that are frontage to like the public roads around the property. That's where they're going to be putting the power plant. That's where they're going to be putting like the theater for events. And if you look at the elevation, it looks like if you have no business inside of Apple, you will be seeing a big sheer wall of just buildings. I wonder. I would like to know, like, how much of that open grassland is going to be. Are there bike paths that people can just cut through to go from A to B? Is there? If I lived in that area and had to drive past it every day, would I be seeing just sheer walls of granite, or would I be seeing lots of trees? Would I be seeing this beautiful arc building? It's only 3 stories, so it's not as though it's going to be a beautiful object on people's skylines.
You're just angry, Andy. I don't understand. Why wouldn't you want a giant spaceship in the middle of your town?
Because you can't see it.
Oh.
Well, it looks great. It looks great on Google.
It's invisible.
Maybe that was the whole point. They know that they want everybody at Google to see what a big building and beautiful building they can build. It wouldn't be nice if you worked here.
Well, I was kind of amazed that they couldn't find a price that would work for the apartment building. That they said there's this little cutout, there's a little bite in there. It's like Nevada without, and then they cut this little bit.
This
out
thing
of it.
here, this triangle.
He said there's a little apartment complex and it wasn't for sale, and I was like, really?
I think somebody very smartly said that, gee, so we're going to be the only building left next to this beautiful, huge building that everybody's going to want to come to. We think that it'd be a good idea for us to hold on to this property, as a matter of fact. And just to show Apple how much we don't like the problems we're having with our new iPhone, we're going to rent out billboard space facing your building for the for phone sex lines and for 1-800 lawyers.
Yeah,
I just think that there had to have been I guess Apple decided it wasn't worth whatever the price is, but I was like, there has to be a price of like in the lifetime of those apartments. I mean, they're going to spend $1 to $2 billion on this thing, I think. Yeah. So it seems like, you know, a little bit more for the apartment complex.
According to Mashable, Steve Jobs is going to become, well, there's 2 Steve Jobs biographies. One is 9 months out, the actual official biography, and then Mashable says there's a comic book biography of Steve Jobs. Now, I know which one you're going to buy, Andy.
I've already added it to my pull list at my local comic shop. This is a company that will put out a biographical comic book about everybody. So every political figure, they have a Charlie Sheen comic coming out. They have a comic book about the person who invented Barbie. And I'm really curious to see what kind of intellectual property lawyers they have working for them, because the Barbie comic has a picture of Barbie on it. The Steve Jobs comic has a picture of Steve Jobs on it. People have tried to use Steve Jobs' image in a way that it didn't really work that well. Everybody remembers that really super awesome, cool action figure that someone made and managed to sell 400 of before Apple put the fear of God into them. So I'm wondering if this isn't just like the apartment building, just like Nokia. They thought all we have to do is see how much they're going to pay us for us to not publish this comic book, and we can retire very healthy men and women.
It's hard to say. I mean, it's from a literary point of view. I think it's one thing to make a little thing, but I think when you write a book, I think there's going to be some freedom of press issues.
They did the Mark Zuckerberg comic too, right?
Oh, did they?
I believe so. Yeah, they did.
If you go to their site, if you go to their site, they put out like 18 of these like every single month. The art is not particularly good, The writing is fairly linear, and I think they've only recently switched from Comic Sans for the lettering. It's we're not talking about Neil Adams based on a Mark Millar script here.
So you're probably not going to see any insights in this one.
I'm guessing that the Wikipedia page on Steve Jobs will be well represented in this comic.
What do you think now we're going to see in this one? This won't be out till March. By the way, is already selling like hotcakes in pre-order. Steve, the Book of Jobs. I don't think you really should be allowed to have 2 puns in one title. I don't know.
That's a lot of puns. You're right.
That's a little. I think they've overloaded the title just the slightest bit.
And I come from the Tom Merritt school of puns, and that's a lot of puns for me.
You know whereof you speak.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's about 1/100th of a Zaltzman. It's like 1 micro Zaltzman as far as pun content on that cover.
Walter Isaacson will write. He's a well-known historian. This is his first.
He did that really great biography of Albert Einstein.
That's right.
And he's the serious biographer whose biography has really entered into the historical record. It's not like one of these tell-all books about the Octomom that comes out 3 weeks after the National Enquirer headline.
CEO of the Aspen Institute. He
former editor-in-chief of Newsweek, was it?
Yeah, and he's done biographies of Kissinger, Franklin, and as you said, Einstein. So this guy is pretty heavy duty. But you got to wonder: is this going to be as told to Walter Isaacson? It is the official biography, so I presume Steve will have some input into it.
Is it official or authorized?
It's authorized.
Yeah. So there's a
difference.
There's a subtle
and
difference.
And it's a biography, so it's not autobiography. Right.
So I think we can all expect it to. If it's Isaacson, it means that it's not going to be a as dictated to job, but it's going to rely pretty heavily on what they can get access to and what Steve is going to tell them. So it's going to be a definitive biography, but we're still going to have to wait for another 5 or 10 years before we really have the freedom to see the entire story. But it truly is going to be a must read. I already pre-ordered my copy.
Yeah,
as soon as I found out about it.
It's a bestseller. Yeah, on Amazon.
I'm waiting to find out who's going to read the book. Who's going to do
the audio? I'll do it. Amazon. Audible and I have been looking for a title to read.
That would be great.
Yeah, I'll do it.
You should do that.
I'll read it like this. And then I told Leo Laporte, he should never come into my door, knock at my door again.
It's written by the old prospector.
The old prospector. Yeah.
Cupertino, California, was once known for plum grows. Yeah. Until a young boy wrote Hewlett Packard for a free part for a frequency calculator.
Actually, I want to ask you guys, because Audible, I would have to read it in the next 2 weeks, asked me to do a book for them on the double helix. It's James Watson's biography about a memoir about discovering the keys to life. What do you think?
Keys to life. What does that mean?
Well, he discovered the structure of DNA.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, the double helix. I think it'd be kind of fun.
It also properly reflects how it was God who created the helix to begin with, and created in Watson and Crick the intelligence to discover and uncover God's methods in creating DNA.
I'll be sure to add that.
I don't think you're. I can still continue. I can continue to work on these podcasts.
I'll do that as a footnote. Okay. By the way, Veronica, did you press a button or something?
I think that at random you should select sentences to just say in a sarcastic, mocking tone. Just be reading it completely straight, completely okay, and then suddenly say, but in May of 1938, there were no cars available. There were no cars available for sale in Michigan.
You could just go
because of gas rationing.
So no, you just all of a sudden you're anamorphic, Veronica.
I didn't do anything.
Wow. See, I don't have to squeeze you anymore.
I look okay on my end.
I was squeezing you, and now you look. Yeah, you look normal now. I unsqueezed you.
Oh.
Was I squeezing you unnecessarily?
Don't squeeze the Charmin.
I had her like that, and all of a sudden.
And this is the point at which Mr. Roper here, he's squeezing her, and now she can't fit her.
Oh, go back to 3x4. That makes me look much better.
I think they're running a Badger game.
Come on, knock on my door. I could do that one. Apple, according to The Economist, yeah, she's gonna now she's gonna launch into it.
No, I'm done now.
According to The Economist. Now, by the way, this week IBM will celebrate its 100th anniversary. And according to The Economist, Apple can expect to do the same. In fact, here's Leander Caney put a great picture in his Cult of Mac blog of Steve Jobs pointing at the IBM logo in the late 70s. So The Economist took a look at what other high-tech companies might survive 100 years. You know who didn't? Microsoft.
Yeah, but I disagreed with one thing. They said they had only one great idea, and that was Windows. But Xbox has been doing well for them.
No kidding.
So I don't really take that as a point. I think they'll probably still be around. They got enough money to fund themselves that long, right?
Also, when your one idea is the OS that runs 90% of the computers on the planet,
exactly.
I think your company's got a few legs there.
One of the reasons IBM survived is because they have a lot of patents that are still good. And that's very valuable. And Microsoft has a lot of patents. They don't last 100 years. They'll have to keep making them or acquiring them. They said Google is a little sketchy, built on a good idea, but how long can search and ad search succeed? They do say Facebook and Amazon are a good shot at the century mark. I think it's an interesting article, but of course, who knows? Who can tell? Now you're unstretched. Did you do something again?
I swear I'm not touching anything.
Now I do squeeze you. Maybe it's us. Now I have to squeeze you again. See? For a while, she was fat. Now she's thin.
Hey!
I mean, just your picture. You're always skinny. Not skinny. Slim.
Slender. No.
Slender. Skinny's a bad word. Slim is a good word. It's the same.
I don't know whether it's the anamorphic. You got the horizontal stripes plus the anamorphic distortion.
I know.
That's a double optical illusion.
I don't know. Maybe my camera's getting tired.
Apple costs $1.3 billion, or spends $1.3 billion a year to run iTunes. And we've talked before about it's barely profitable. Now I can understand why. Content margin by month. This graph comes to us from Asimco, Curated Market Intelligence. It's, I don't know what it means. Andy, would you explain?
I have not read this chart. I don't understand it. But
okay,
I can
me neither.
on about it.
So the blue is the song gross margin.
There's a big groundhog outside. That's
Squirrels. So it starts on the left at 2004, the beginning of the iTunes store, and goes to current times.
He owns the place. Is how he's sitting. I'm sorry.
So the gross margin on songs on the blue axis. Look at apps, the red axis. Whoa! Apps, the gross margin has, in just a couple of years already, much exceeded the gross margin for music. Here's the monthly content margin as it goes up, up, up. But most of that cost, $1.3 billion a year, which has been deduced from this graph, $113 million a month, goes to serving the content, traffic and payment processing. They use Akamai, which is quite pricey.
So I wonder how that's going to go once they factor in the iCloud money.
Well, that's true. Now, I think that, of course, they've been building this North Carolina data center, so some of that money may actually be the North Carolina data center, maybe rolled into that. And speaking of fashions, an Apple engineer has rolled out some fashions made out of, I don't know if you'll like this or not, Veronica, Legos.
Do you think I have a problem with Legos?
No, I think you might like it because of that. I don't know.
I love Legos.
This is the difference.
This is really cool.
This is the difference engine in Lego. It's 2,000 Lego parts. I don't know why they said fashion. Oh, I get it. Fashions. See, I thought it was about fashion, but in fact, Wired Magazine's using the fashion as a verb.
Yeah.
Apple engineer fashions computer out of Legos. It is.
I actually have a Lego bracelet. Speaking of Legos and fashion.
Do you really?
I do.
I like Legos.
From a designer named Amiko.
What did you think of the Lego Star Wars? Well, you should talk a little bit about E3 since you're here. What do you think about the Lego Star Wars game?
All the Lego games are always awesome. So.
Yeah. Did you like Kinect? Now, I got to say, you work for Sony.
I can't talk about Kinect.
So you can't talk about Kinect. You can't even review it. You can't even say, oh, that Star Wars game on Kinect was super lame. You can't say that.
I like Dance Central. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I do too. And they showed Dance Central too. And now both of us could play.
Yes.
While we karaoke. Yeah. They had
we'll take us on the road. We'll do karaoke and Dance Central.
It's Veronica and Leo, the Saga Dance team. I guess you kind of have to recuse yourself, don't you?
A little bit. Yeah.
I saw
some great games, though. I can talk about game titles that I really enjoyed that are multi-platform.
Please.
BioShock Infinite looks awesome.
Yay, can't wait.
3, Battlefield 3, Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim looks unbelievable.
Do you come down on the Battlefield 3 versus Modern Warfare 3? Which side do you come down on that?
Well, I didn't get a demo of Battlefield 3, unfortunately, and I did of Modern Warfare 3, so I'm leaning towards Modern Warfare 3 only because that's the one I've seen the most of so far, and it looks stellar. But I think the gameplay options of Battlefield 3 and the different kinds of vehicles and weapons you can use, I think that's going to, stick a much-needed needle into the arm of first-person shooters. Shot of adrenaline right to the heart.
Speaking of needles in the arm, did you read the review of Duke Nukem Forever?
Ooh, not good.
We wait 10 years for this game, and it sounds horrible. Sexist, scatological.
We covered it for Core, but I wasn't the host on that one. It was our Audrey Cleo, who works down in LA and does most of our entertainment and Blu-ray stuff. She went to the shoot for that one, so I hadn't seen it until I started seeing it at E3 and started seeing the reviews coming up. A little concerned.
Yeah,
a little concerned.
I'm not going to run out and buy it.
Pretty bad things about the storyline, but wait and see. I guess I can't make a judgment until I've played it myself.
A lot of penis jokes, a lot of bathroom humor. And then I think the worst indictment, gameplay doesn't sound very good. It's basically you're on a track.
Right, I know. It was more open world in the original one.
Yeah,
you got to do a lot of exploring.
That was what was so cool.
Yeah.
Not the case this time.
Yeah.
I think the problem there was that it's been so stripped of its original context. Where back when it was new, there were things you would accept about the character, even though if you were to look at it fresh, you'd realize that, oh man, are we really going back here with this sort of topic anymore? So I think that at the time they could have gotten away with this as simply the next version. It's sort of like a new season of Family Guy, where you're like, okay, it's poorly written, there's no plot, there's no story. They spend most of their time just running around in circles, and anytime they can make something come out of some orifice or have someone beat the outside of somebody else, it's going to happen. If the show went away for 10 years and then came back, and you're suddenly used to not seeing that kind of show, it seems doubly or triply even worse.
Yeah.
I don't even why at some point aren't these properties more valuable? I mean, this seriously, isn't it more profitable as a write-off than as an actual working product, where they can simply use that loss to offset their tax liabilities for other properties that they're developing?
Well, the history and the genesis of this program too is part of the problem, which is people got worked on it for a while, they got fired, and it got transferred around. I mean, it doesn't bode well, but it's a little disappointing. I liked the original Duke Nukems a lot, and it's funny because when we went to cover it, we were allowed to go in with a camera and look at it, but they said you can't take your microphones in. We don't want any commentary. Telling. Let's take a break. When we come back, our picks of the week. Your favorite hardware or software. Veronica, you may recuse yourself, but if you've got something you like, we'd like to hear about it.
Oh, yeah, I can talk about that
stuff. It just has to be a Mac thing. That's all we ask.
No problem.
Just all we ask is a Mac thing. And you know what I'm going to talk about right now? I'm very happy to do so. And by the way, I got to find a picture of this. Smile Software, we love them, of course. I've been a big text expander user for years, and now I've discovered this fantastic PDF pen, which is a must-have right now for me on the Macintosh. You can get it at the App Store. You can get it from Smile Software directly at smilesoftware.com/MacBreak. In fact, if you would do us a little favor, go to smilesoftware.com/MacBreak so that we get a little credit for you checking it out. Then you can buy it anywhere you want. They know that when you buy it on the App Store, that you bought it because of us. I want to talk about it in just a second, but first let me find what the Smile people did that makes me so happy. Gene McDonald over there ordered a brick with the Smile Software logo on it. I'm so happy. This is our brick. It's going to be on the wall of the brick house. And I'm really, thank you, Gene, for doing that. That's just awesome. And that's one of the features we offer on the bricks, by the way, bricks.twit.tv. You can get an 8x8 brick, one of the larger bricks, with your company logo on it. But let me talk a little bit about PDF Pen Pro, because this is a fantastic program that lets you open PDFs and edit them. Make changes without going back to the original document. It has optical character recognition, too, so you can get the text out of a PDF. You know, a PDF is really just an image. So you need OCR if you want to get to the text. You can also add text, images, signatures, and I do that all the time. You have a library, and I have the signatures of my whole family in there. So I can paste them in, which really is very handy. You can redact information as well. So if you want to pass along a PDF, but black out something, and actually black it out, by the way. There are ways to do it with other programs that, in fact, people can see what was underneath. It is just, if you deal with PDFs, if you're in the business, as many, where you do a lot of contracts, a lot of realtors use this. Anytime you deal with PDFs. I do it just because I have to fill out forms for my kids for camp and all that stuff. Winner of the Macworld Editor's Choice Award a couple of years back. It's gotten better and better. PDF Pen, $59.95. PDF Pen Pro, $99.95. But you could try before you buy, and I think you will absolutely like it. Smile does the best Mac software. They're just the nicest people. They really are. This is how I want a company to be. They're members of the community. They really participate in the Mac community. They're party at Macworld Expo every year. You see Gene everywhere, and they're just really the nicest people. SmileSoftware.com/MacBreak. While you're there, also check out Text Expander, which is another great program I cannot live without. Get the free trial. You'll see how useful this is. Welcome, MacBreak Weekly audience. PDF Pen. About a tenth the cost of Acrobat Pro, and it does more. All right, time for our picks of the week. And I think we'll give Veronica a little more time to think while I get Alex. Well, let's start from left to right. Andy Ihnatko, your pick of the week, sir.
My pick of the week, he said, scrolling through for it. It's a really cool, it's an iOS app, and now we're going to use the high-tech zoom into the middle thing feature of the studio. Roger Ebert, for a number of years, has been doing a set of reviews alongside his regular weekly reviews of new movies, because a lot of Casablanca came out about 30 or 40 years before he started reviewing movies. So he does the series called The Great Movies, usually referring to movies that are really wonderful and absolutely recommendable that he may not have reviewed the first time. Sometimes he even goes back and takes movies like Goodfellas that he just absolutely loved. He did review that the first time, but he wants to put that in this series. Because he reviews so many movies, if you really want to see the cream of the cream, the movies you really have to see, you really want to go to the Great Movies list on RogerEbert.com or buy one of his Great Movies book. And now there is a Great Movies app for iPhone, not available for iPad yet, but it is a single app that will list alphabetically every single one of the great movies that he's reviews. Here's Amarcord. It'll give you the full review. There you
That's
go.
Cool.
The full review, also including media and pictures. Also, if you look in the very, very bottom here, there are a couple of really nice features. I'm afraid I don't think you can zoom any closer than what we got right now. But oh wait, here you go. At the very, very bottom, there are a couple of really cool buttons. But you can just simply click this button that says "Want to See It," and it will be added to a list of movies that you've selected. This is on my personal want list. You can also send these. You can also the export button will let you go to RogerEbert.com and read the full review. There are links to adding it to your Netflix queue, recommending it on Twitter and Instapaper, buying it on Amazon. It's just the sort of thing where you wind up. I've seen so many of these movies, but just going through this app just made me want to say, "Oh, I've never actually seen the Apu trilogy. Now I actually have something that is adding to my list to make sure that I get to see it." Plus, now it's actually I've actually found the resources that I can actually, instead of just seeing it someday, I've actually got it in my list and in my queue so I can see it completely. So it's a really cool app because curation is a topic that's widely talked about when it comes to the best ways of managing lists and managing stores. And if you're looking for movies, there is no greater curator of a movie library than Roger Ebert. If the only movies you ever see are Roger Ebert's great movies, that's really all you ever need to see. You don't have to see Mr. Popper's Penguins. Just get the Fargo, Faust, the Fireman's Ball, Fitzcarraldo, 5 Easy Pieces, Floating Wings, Forbidden Games, Gates of Heaven, The General, The Godfather. Just looking through this, it's like, damn it, seen it, need to see it, seen it, need to see it, need to see it. Oh, I've never seen The Grapes of Wrath. How come I've never seen that? It's $1.99, but it's worth $1.99.
Absolutely, and I just want to give it to Roger because I love him so much. Oh, yeah. He's just great.
Yeah, I wonder if there should almost be like another button that says just give the guy an extra 20.
Exactly.
Exactly. And if you're not, by the way, if you're listening to this and you somehow have not fallen into the follow Roger on Twitter trap, you really should, because he's prolific. And there are just so many great links and so many, and not just about movies, just about all kinds of stuff. He does it really well. So I would highly suggest following him too.
Agreed. Alex, your pick of the week.
So I have the occasional need to get stuff off of YouTube and save it and convert it into things that
I can't do that.
I need to use.
No, you're not allowed to. I'm sorry.
Well, so if you, I'm not going to get into so much. There's a Grease Monkey. There's a thing called KeepTube.com, and mixed with Grease Monkey on your Firefox. Of course, you can pull the movie out, but it's in whatever format it's in, and then you want to convert it to something else. And so I had to find something, and now I'm finding myself using this all the time. And that is it's Wondershare's Video Converter. So this is I think it's about a $30 application. Are you using this?
No, in fact, I need it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this is just a great little. Remember, what was the name of the app that went away? Oh,
Monkey. What was it? Tube. Yeah, I know what you mean.
No, the
Tube
application
or something. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But there's another one. So Video Converter is just a general conversion. Remember the conversion? There was a conversion tool.
Yeah, it was so great. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Anyway,
Visual Hub. Thank you, chat room.
Visual Hub, right? Visual Hub. And so this is kind of, I don't know if it does everything that Visual Hub does, but it does all the things I needed from Visual Hub, which is that you can set up, this is how I want it to go out. You simply drag it on. You can grab a couple of them on. You can just throw it on there, and it converts it. It's not complicated. It's not expensive. It's not, it just kind of sorts that out for you quickly.
How much?
They make a lot of other tools. It's like $30, and it's.
No. Are you recommending a YouTube converter or
I'm recommending a video converter. Okay. So it converts video from, and here's the important part, it converts them from the Flash format to your iPhone, iPad, iPod, so on and so forth. And that's the number one thing that I needed was I need to be able to open that up and save it out quickly, and I just want to be able to drag and drop it and make it go. And
but it's not just Flash. I mean, it's a lot of formats.
It's a lot of formats. It's basically sits on top. It'll convert it like Video Hub. It converts many formats to many other formats. This is called Video Converter. Oh, you have a different one?
Yeah, I don't want to throw a bushel on your glow. When that other app up and went away, another group of people sort of jumped in and tried to create a replacement for it that was also free called Video Monkey. Is there a difference between the app you're recommending and Video Monkey?
I haven't used it, so I don't know.
VideoMonkey.org even tries to be, I think, exactly like the way that Visual Hub looks.
Yeah, I remember when
I guess I would say I actually like Video Converter. What I will say is I like Video Converter better than.
There's actually an ad for Video Converter.
Isn't it? It's funny right there.
Yeah. VideoMonkey.org.
Yeah.
So
and I also like FFmpeg X, which is also free. Mm-hmm. Both Video Monkey and this and Visual Hub were front ends to FFmpeg, which is a command line tool. So really, I don't know if yours is though, Alex.
I actually don't know. What I know is that I looked for a lot of things and I tried to get it all working, and I just found that this was something that it just did a lot of useful things very quickly for what I needed, and it just converted a lot of videos. And they have a bunch of different versions. So you have a Ripper, Converter Platinum, Converter Pro, Converter Ultimate, and Converter Ultimate does just about everything you'd want to do to a video. I found myself, the reason I'm recommending it is that I found myself using it all the time. It went from, it was one of those things like I downloaded it and I was like, oh, I don't know if I should spend $30 on it, but I'm just finding myself doing it as this quick converter just constantly. And so, so I'd suggest checking it out. It's the interface is much better than Visual Hub. This is like, here's the thing: is this is something I could hand to somebody and just say, go do this, and I set up the preference, and then someone just drags it on, and it goes out the other end, and they drag it on, and it goes out the other end, and there's not a lot of little drop downs, and there's not a lot of figuring out. So if you just want to convert files over and you don't want to think about it, I found that this would be a great application to do that.
It's funny because I was going through this weekend, or maybe earlier, because now, have you guys experienced this? I had a video that I shot with my camera, my digital still camera. It was an MOV file, and I opened it in QuickTime Player 7 and trimmed it. You know how you can, if you have QuickTime Pro, you can trim it.
Yeah.
And then I did two things. I saved it in place, and then I saved it as. The save in place, and I did this twice, and it repeated it twice, ended up being unplayable by QuickTime. The save as worked fine, but it munged it somehow. And so as a result, I have this file, and I had thrown out the other ones. So I had this one file that I just couldn't play. It was the only copy of the video, and I ended up having to, I downloaded every converter I could find. Nothing could read it. It was just like a weird bug.
Yeah, once you hack the header, I mean, once that there is a rare thing that happens with QuickTime, that if you cut off a little bit of it, it's very easy to.
That's what I did. I cut off the beginning, and it must have deleted the header.
And there's no way back.
You want to see the video?
like that we found. Because we had somebody delete a big chunk of it, and the funny thing is it's still the same file size because it's just setting up that player, and there's this couple little like don't cross the beams kind of thing with and
like it shouldn't do that.
And that's one of them.
Seems like it shouldn't do that. So this is the video. Actually, I shot this when we were in LA for the E3 gaming show. This is the CEO of Twit, Lisa Kensel, showing an amazing skill. I think she's part monkey. I couldn't believe she could do this. Look at this. She's just swinging through the air on those rings.
She's training for American Ninja Warrior next season.
No idea. Many years
Look at
ago,
this.
she was actually a circus performer.
I mean, I was like, I can't believe I just saw that. Fortunately.
I can't believe I just filmed it.
I had the camera out, so I didn't miss it, but I didn't want to lose it, so that's why I was looking at all these converters. And actually, I kind of like this FFmpeg-X. It is free. It's pretty simple. It doesn't do a whole lot of stuff. You were nodding, Veronica. You use that one, or?
Yeah, we talk about that and use it and recommend it a lot on Texilla.
Yeah, because it's basically just a front end to a well-known, Unix item. But it is your turn for your pick of the week.
My turn. This is something I've been using for a long time, and it actually replaced another application that I was totally addicted to. I'm talking about Alfred.
Yay!
Alfred app.
I love
Yay.
Alfred.
I feel like you maybe have covered this in the past.
Doesn't matter. Say it again. You can't say it enough.
I replaced it. I was using Quicksilver previously, and now I'm on Alfred. I did buy the Power Pack, which is the additional features pack, and it's totally worth it.
Absolutely.
So it's not just an application launcher, of course, but you can also do it to find files within applications, search within applications, do Google searches, search on Wikipedia, and also do searches within websites that you can predefine. And you can also use it to play iTunes tracks and to do all sorts of crazy stuff on your system. It basically makes it so you almost never have to use your mouse.
Yep. I love it.
Yeah.
The Power Pack is definitely worth getting, because then you have access to things like you can do terminal commands by doing a little bracket, and then you can type any terminal command. And Andy, you'll like this, or was it Andy? I think it was Andy who was talking about Fantastical. It now has Fantastical support. Just came out with an update so that you can enter your calendar data in full sentences and so forth using just the command line, which is awesome.
I just learned about that recently, so I want to test that out a little bit more. But I use it for the calculator features. I use it for spelling and for pulling up things on a thesaurus or a dictionary. Once you figure out the tricks, just like Quicksilver, really, once you figure out all the tricks and the little ins and outs, it becomes indispensable. And every time I get a new machine or I'm working on someone else's Mac, I forget that I don't have it installed on there, and it'll be the first thing I put on, or I just feel very, like I'm not moving at a fast enough pace on the machine. It definitely makes you work a lot faster.
I'm so with you. I was really pleased when these guys did this, and it's a small company. We've talked before about it's the husband and wife team who do this, and then there's a great blog, Tumblr, that has a lot of additional Alfred features because you can customize it like crazy. So it's Andrew Pepperell and his wife Vero, and they do just Such a good dime.
Yeah, you can't skin it the same way you can skin Quicksilver, but you don't really need to. It looks great.
Well, you see, I'm using the black version of it, and you could take the hat off, but who needs to really? I mean, I could type somebody's name and I find start an email to them and everything, and then if you go to the Tumble log, alfredtips.tumblr.com, you'll see this is so tweakable. Lots and lots of different features. So I agree with you.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite apps for sure.
Yeah, me too. I use it on all my Macs. And you'll be using it on your new MacBook Air as soon as it comes out. And I'm going to be mad because I already bought mine.
I feel so sad about losing I'm not going to lose my MacBook Pro, my 13-inch, but it will be sad to give her a little rest for a while. But it's time, I think. I carry around my laptop too much, and it's getting to be, even going down to the 13-inch size, it's still too big, too heavy.
I'm with you.
Maybe I've become accustomed to my iPad.
No, it's a perfect, kind of intermediate step between a real laptop and an iPad. And I think with the new one, if they have a Thunderbolt and all of that stuff, it'll be amazing. Veronica is the host with my old pal, Mr. Patrick Norton, of a great show you'll find on Revision 3, Tekzilla, TEKZILLA.com. They do it every week, but there's also daily Tekzilla updates. There's lots of information. It's really a great help and how-to show that's just got some style.
Yeah, we've got 2 episodes a week actually now.
2?
I do the Thursday, the show that comes out on Thursday, and Robert Heron does the show that comes out on Tuesday, I believe.
I forgot that they've enlisted Robert into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
So twice as much Tekzilla a week.
TEKZILLA.com. I'm so glad you could join us, Veronica. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
Appreciate it. Of course, Andy Ihnatko is with the Chicago Sun-Times. His website is CWOB.com. And you'll find him as a regular on MacBreak Weekly. In fact, I know you sent me a note. There's a show you'd like to do, and I actually I've started a bidding war for Andy Ihnatko's services. So we'll talk later. I haven't ignored your email.
We'll do it NBA style. We'll escalate the escalades until I pick a winner.
So I've found a number of people who want to do a show with you. So I'll tell you about that in a little bit. Also want to thank our great friend Alex Lindsay for joining us from the Pixel Corps. Pixelcorps.com if you'd like to join that 3D.
Finally, I get to hug this man at the end of the show. The work he does for charity, he doesn't want anybody to know about. I'm going to embarrass this man on this telethon.
Pixelcorps.com.
Finally got us to come together, bury the hatchet. The feud is
beautiful.
over.
It's a beautiful thing.
I never thought it would happen.
Just a beautiful thing when 2 people make up like that. Boy, Veronica, the picture quality on Tekzilla, I'm just watching it, is so clean. You guys are doing it in HD, I can tell.
Thank you.
Good. Man.
It's all FFmpeg-X.
Is it really?
I believe we do use it, yeah.
Wow. That's cool. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We do MacBreak Weekly, 11 a.m. Pacific every Tuesday. That's 2 p.m. Eastern Time. 1800 UTC at live.twit.tv if you want to watch us live. If you can't watch us live or you missed a show, you can always go back and get all the episodes, all 251 of them, at twit.tv/mbw, or, of course, on iTunes or Zune Marketplace or everywhere better podcasts are stored. We have audio plus video versions of every episode up there. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Get back to work. Break time is over. Now have to look up Meatloaf karaoke.
I did the only karaoke I ever did was I somehow for some reason ended up with Dire Straits' "Walk of Life," which is
you got the walk of life. I could sing.
That
Mark
is a
Knopfler
really hard
key,
song to think of all the words. That's all I have to say.
Well, they put it on the screen, don't they?
Even when they put it on the screen, it's one long run-on sentence. It's not like a bunch of little verses.
I hate that when you think you know a song and then you get to the karaoke version, you're like, wait, I don't actually know any of these words.
Okay, here you go,
no,
Veronica.
I'm not going to sing on...
Here you go, Veronica.
No.
Here you go. Here you go. Oh, I got to start the lyrics machine. And I would do anything for love. I'd run right in. See, that's what I sound like.
Oh, it's lagged. I can't read the words and sing the
it's
song.
lagged. You're right. You can't do karaoke on Skype.
Bow, bow.
I think they actually did this, used that.
No. Oh, no.
She's
No
good.
way.
She's good.
And I would do anything for love.
She sounds just like Meatloaf.
Do that. No, I won't do that.